Oh, good, he's there.
I'm here.
Hi, Rob. I'm
Hey.
going to make you co-host, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Breakfast, sorry.
No worries. I'm used to you eating. So good morning, and I know you know the drill. I learned something new about Zoom yesterday, that if I put stuff in the chat before people log on,
Mm-hmm.
they don't see the chat. They only see from when
Mm-hmm.
they logged on. So I'll put the instructions in just a few minutes.
That's a good lesson. I'm glad you brought it up because I learned that the other day too, because I'm in Toastmasters. And if we put the agenda up at the very beginning, people that join after that, they
Yeah.
don't get that. Yeah.
Exactly. So what I did yesterday, since that was something new I'd learned, is I put the instructions for how to find the materials. I put it in a couple of times
Okay.
throughout the hour.
Cool.
So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Shut this video off.
And then other than that, I'm going to mute myself and hide my screen, and I'll turn the volume down, and I'll be in the background, but I won't really be with you. Okay.
Perfect.
Renee, are you pretty much going to do all of these?
I'm gonna try.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Silly girl.
I think Mike was asking us how they were going yesterday. I think they've been going really well. I feel like what I'm hearing in the background is you guys are doing a lot of talking to each other and that kind of stuff. So it's awesome.
Hey, I've got a quick question.
Yes.
When I'm filling out a PED form, I'm very new to all of this. But on DocuSign, I'm putting a checkbox where it's like, what kind of person is it? And it hasn't been required. So a lot of my PED forms have been kind of haphazardly signed so far. Moving forward, I found if I double click it, it puts a check there. Does that show up when they get it?
I'm letting you answer that one, Renee.
Yeah, it does. If you check it when you're doing it under zip forms, it'll show up. Yeah.
I'm doing it on I still can't get into zip forms. So I had Elaine print a form, scan it, and send it to me as a PDF. So I keep uploading it each time a DocuSign.
Well, if you do it under DocuSign, you can actually put it where they would have to check mark it too.
Right. So I mean, how? What button does that?
The check mark.
So I've been doing that, but it's not requiring it.
Really?
That's weird.
Yeah.
And you know, the thing is, the real pisser here is that, again, if I'm sorry, that's my official language, is that if you were in ZipLogic and you use the e-sign there, it does have that. You need to get into zip forms as quickly as possible. It's the CAR logon.
Yeah, it's been giving me a pain. It was giving Elaine a pain, and I have more business than I can quite. It's not more than I can handle, but it's about right where I can handle it. And I just haven't gotten to deal with zip forms yet. I've been trying to make sure I've got all the showing set up.
Well, you know, one of the things you might want to do real quickly, and we won't take any more time because I know the time is precious here. One of the other things you might want to do is take the hard copy, check mark that, scan it, and then use it in the future for everybody.
That's an option.
Oh, there you go. That's a good idea, Renee. And then it's just checked.
Yeah.
So if I had one with Elaine's signature, I could just stop emailing them to her.
Yeah. It goes to Glenda anyway. It doesn't go to Elaine.
I've been sending it to Wonder Woman.
Should go to I'm Wonder Woman is probably ignoring
Wonder
them.
Woman does not want it.
She does not want that. I can tell you that right
That
now.
explains why they're not getting signed.
Yeah.
Send them to Glenda. Wonder Woman doesn't want it. All
Glenda.
right. Zach, if you can check in with Renee and Elaine later, and they can introduce you to Glenda and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Rob, thank you so much, Mr. Ross, for being with us this morning. I'm going to let you take it away, and you know what to do. So please, of course, introduce yourself for those who may not know who you are.
Yeah, I've been watching some of the videos so I can get kind of an idea of like what the format is. And what I love is everybody does it different.
Yeah. It's true. And right now you have 13 people on there counting me. So it's been getting up to 20,
Yep.
close to 30. So thank you so much, Rob. I'm going to let you take it away.
All right, cool. So for some of you that don't know, I've been in real estate. I'm Rob Ross. I've been in real estate for about 15 years. I've been a broker for about 13 years. I've been with KW for about 4.5 years. And I've been the team leader here in Silicon Valley for about 3.5 years. I was doing my total, and I think in the 11 years before I became a team leader, I sold about 110, 120 homes in Santa Cruz. So I've had a little experience in this market, in different markets. Actually did well in the short sale market. I adjusted and pivoted really quickly. When my wife looked at me and said, "You haven't sold anything in 3 months, you need to sell something now." Renee knows what I'm talking about. It was a unique time. Anyway.
Unique. Well said.
That's the best. It was. Now we're in even a more unique time, right? So it's ridiculous. But all right. So one thing I wanted to, and Renee is on the call, I'm going to put in the chat, and you guys may have forgotten. She is doing the, am I correct, the scripts practice every morning?
Well, it helps if I unmute. Yes, I did. And I had Clinton on today.
Oh, good.
So yes, I will put down the link.
I got it right here for you. There you
Okay. 8:30 every morning.
I appreciate it. And what we're learning, and I know Renee already knows this, is especially for your newer agents, understanding your scripts is probably the most important thing, especially in a market like now when there's so much uncertainty and so many questions and so much misinformation out there, that your buyers and sellers are confused. So you understanding what to tell them and what kind of conversation is super important. So if you can make these classes, I highly, highly suggest it. All right, guys, so let's get this going here. Share my thing. Cool. All right, so today, let me put you guys over here. So we did the introduction. Does anybody have any questions on any of the past material?
No.
No. That makes it easy. We'll go on to step 2. All right. So I keep seeing this slide come up, and I think it's just because what I'm learning from Gary is he continually repeats himself, so he wants this to get into your head. 1 second here, guys. Let me get my laptop off. I don't know, we're good. Okay. So I'm assuming that, because Gary's obviously a much smarter person than myself, there's a reason why every Ignite class, you're going to see this same thing, right? It's what you need to do, understand about your business, your 80 and your 20%. And I would say like the most important thing, and I heard Chris say it the other day, is the lead generation, right? We already know that lead generation for buyers and sellers, making seller listing presentations, getting listings, especially in a market like right now because inventory is low, make or buyer presentations and listings. I mean, I've done a lot of business in Santa Cruz. When I can, I tell my agents and suggest in San Jose to do, when they say listings, I'm thinking of the buyer agreement with the agent themselves. I've got a one-pager that I used to use when I was on a team. It's just an agreement between myself and the buyer that they're going to work with me. And if they decide not, if they don't and doesn't tell me, then I will be compensated. Buyer broker agreement. Previewing real estate, I like what Chris said the other day. We can still see it. You can still drive around. You can fill out the PAD form. Understanding the inventory is super important, right? Because as you're dealing with buyers and sellers, if you know the property ahead of time, it just have a better conversation. It just makes you more competent. Running your business, this is the stuff, it is important, but it shouldn't take precedence over lead generation, because what you'll find is the average realtor will spend more time running their business than growing their business. And then their business is going to look like this, right? Because they're not continually filling their pipeline. So today, we're going to talk about my favorite subject, setting goals. And we'll go through that, saying what that looks like. There's the slide. Setting goals. All right. So today we're going to, as I said, set goals. which is an important part of running your business because it gives you direction as to where you are going. To do that, we're going to ask some big questions. You know, where do you want to go? What's your motivation? Why are you selling real estate? And last but not least, how do you get there? What does that path look like to get to those goals that you want to achieve? Here's a question for a little audience participation. What makes a goal matter?
The value it gives, the drive it gives you every day. You know, it gets you up before the alarm clock. You know, no one has to tell you to get up. That's what makes a goal matter.
Perfect, Dennis. You're exactly right, right? It's that thing that ties it to us. So
Mhm.
it affects our life and makes it achievable.
Yeah.
And I like your, yeah, especially getting up in the morning, right?
Right. Like this morning.
Gotta tie something with it.
Right.
All right. So Gary in our thing has pulled one of his quotes from the One Thing, and I'm not going to assume. Is there anybody on our call that has not read the One Thing?
I haven't.
See him.
I will soon.
I haven't.
Okay. So I'm going to be super, super nice today. If you have not read the One Thing and would like to, email me and I will purchase it for you. All I need is your email address and your shipping address, and I will send it to you. Don't do it in the chat because it's hard to see the chat while you're doing these presentations. But if you email me with your address, and I will put my email address in there, I will send it to you. Okay. My gift for you guys coming today.
Don't.
And you will, I guarantee you, it's a quick read and it's got so much great content to it. You won't want to put the book down. All right. Oops, sorry guys. So our ask is, I need one of you to go ahead and read the quote for me. No one's going to read the quote for me?
I have to get this off my screen.
Dennis, you look like you're ready.
Yeah, I have too much on top of my screen to
Oh.
see it. So I'm trying to
I can
fix that.
I'll hear
Okay,
another
there we
person
go.
speak up.
Who we are and where we want to go determine what we do and what we accomplish. The one thing.
So when you read that, if I gotta stop hitting the dang button, when you read that, what does that mean to you guys?
Who we are. Well, it basically is, what is your goal? You know, whatever that goal is what you have to transform into. You know, you have to step into those shoes and in order to accomplish what you want to accomplish. That's how I translate it.
You're right on track, Dennis.
Mhm.
I agree with you completely. Anybody else have a different take or a similar take?
Stay focused on what we need to achieve.
Correct, right? Staying focused on what we need to achieve. The other thing in here too is who we are. I think that's a really important statement in there and where you want to go. So who you're being is super important in this business. And you'll learn a lot about mindset. And you'll hear us talk about mindset, especially agents that have been in the business a long time, and getting that to be that mindset, that person that people want to be around is really important, because people can feed off people's energy, even in this time with Zoom. And then they also have another one here. Just give me a second here. Yeah. And then he also wrote it a different way. What you do and what you accomplish determine who you are and where you go. Right? That's why it's important that we have these goals and guiding us and tying something to the goals so they actually mean something to us. So there's some driving force that makes us want to do these goals. All right. Now we can go on this one. I like this one, right? Let's see here. Give me a second, guys. I'm just moving around so I can watch you guys. You're in the middle of my screen, but you also block my slides. There it goes. Come on, guy. There you go. I go back one. Boom, boom. See, we all do this stuff differently. Great slide, right? Thinking, time, and effort, right? Big outcomes. You need to take big actions. Small outcomes gives you because you'll set yourself up. So what I read when I read this is, if you create your goals too small and too limited, your outcomes, I mean, your actions are going to follow that. If you create goals that are big, then you need to think about bigger actions, and that will drive you further. What I see in agents is, those agents that are like mega agents or just really do well in the business, it's because they've set some big goals for themselves. Or the other ones, they set smaller goals, but they continually keep building on those. Like this year, I'm going to do 4 transactions. Next year, I'm going to do 8 transactions. Next year, I'm going to do 16 transactions. And then once they set that, then they go, okay, what actions do I need to take to go ahead and get there? Let's see, make sure there's anything else. Cool. So the big takeaway of this is, really set some pretty big goals for yourself that are attainable and set up the actions to get there. Very similar slide, but it starts to tie in that who, what, and what, who, and how. Cool. So this is the question you need to ask yourself is, how big is your box, which is this big guy in the middle? If you're not thinking big, you're creating an artificial ceiling on your achievement. There are so many hours in the day. There's only so much any one person can do in those hours. So, setting your goals, time management is what's going to really help you with that. Many new agents limit themselves right away. Maybe they don't call their sphere and just hope business will come their way. Maybe they aren't systematic about lead generating. Maybe they refuse to learn scripts that would make their job easier. Most of those agents don't stay in the business because they treat it as a business, or they burn out because they aren't seeing good return for time or effort. My takeaways from that for you guys is you're going to hear us talk about, I know my mentors do, especially the newer agents, call your sphere, reach out to them. That should be the easiest call that you ever have to make because you already know who they are. And that's really the ultimate goal. If you're going to be in this business a long time, is to create a big database, a big sphere. The bigger you create that, the more you can become more referral based and less of having to do all of these really active lead generation activities. So why not call them? Being systematic. We're a company of systems. If you don't know how to do it, go find someone that does it well and ask them what they're doing. What sort of systematic ways are they following up with their sphere? And learning scripts, I already talked about this morning, and I know Renee will back me up on this. You just have to learn them. It's just learning the language. You can in the future change the script, but at least learn the scripts first and then change them to make your own, because they do work.
Learn the scripts, folks.
Learn the scripts. Your takeaway from today. See Renee at 8:30. Get a coffee, get a Red Bull, whatever it takes. Pre-workout like I do. All right. Now, I'm looking at you guys. Do you guys have the guide in front of you? I mean, on your own computers?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a cool little project I was reading about last night. So in this, we're going to do an activity that will help you envision your big life. Once you have a vision in place, then you can set meaningful goals that will bring you closer to that life. Once you have the goals, we can talk about how to reach them. It all begins with our vision. So if you don't have this, it's pretty simple. You could take a piece of paper or do it on your laptop. There should be a circle and then the squares around it. Now, the squares around it, those here. All right. Okay, so on each of the 5 rectangles, write a person or cause that you care about. What would you like to do for that person or cause? Repeat for each rectangle. Some examples. Maybe you want to be able to care for your parents as they get older. Send your kids to college, and then with them graduating without debt. Pay for a vacation for you and your significant other. For a cause, perhaps you'd maybe like to name the support, let's see, it would be named a support of a local animal shelter or serve on a board charity. So some cause that you want to be a part of. True. So perhaps your big life includes prioritizing your health so you have more time and energy to give, or paying off your student loans. So I'm going to give you guys like 2 to 3 minutes. Go ahead and do that right now. And it's important you do this because we'll build on this in the near future. I mean, in the next couple of slides. So what you'll do is you'll on the, as I said, the rectangles will either be something that you want to do, support, pay off. And then I also need you to put amounts of money in each of those. And then in the center circle will be what that total is. Thank you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you need more energy, you can get some coffee. Do like one more minute. So one thing that's hard when you're not in a classroom, you can't see what people are doing. Cool. Go ahead and come back together here. You can continue to still work on that if you're working on that. Any takeaways from this exercise? Anything that surprises you?
How much money I'll need.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Puts it
That's what
into
surprises me.
perspective.
What's that,
It
Sarah?
puts it into perspective, definitely.
Right. It just it's the goal planning, right? You can see, and Dennis, as you had mentioned before, you know, it's when we talked about something that drives you. This is what drives you. You know, this is what
Yeah.
could drive you on those days you don't want to get up, or your clients are being mean, or I don't know, just something that's making it
Right.
harder to do the business. You can look at these things and go, okay, wait a minute, I'm going to make sure that I'm debt free, or I'm going to make sure I help my mom and dad pay off their mortgage, and that's what's going to drive me on those days when I'm not feeling my 100%.
It's one of those things too, if I may add, you know, you can have a goal that I'm going to make 100,000 or I'm going to make 150, and that's nice. But when you actually designate where that money's going to go,
Mhm.
it makes it a lot more, not real, but
Realistic.
yeah, at that point, it's like, well, if I don't
Mhm.
make the 150, which one of these am I going to do away with? I'm not going to donate to the cat habitat,
Right.
you know, so it becomes real personal.
Yes. Thank you, Renee. You are so on track for that. When I started to do this for myself, it helped me. And then as a team leader, you know, it's important for us to know what our agents' goals are and why. You know, what's that driving force? Why is that number so important to you? And then if you don't hit that number, what result is that going to be? Well, like Renee just said, maybe there's a cause you won't be able to do now. I'll be totally transparent. My big one is I have to send my kid to college. I'm not there yet. You know,
Mhm.
I may have to take on debt, you know,
Mhm.
so I got to continue to move myself forward. So that's one of my big whys right now.
Mhm.
So thank you all for participating in this. This will come back. We'll come back to this and do more with this.
Mhm.
It's building on everything. Anything else anybody wants to add? Okay. Here's the fun one. All right. Now you have a vision, like we talked about, and a goal. Let's look at what it means for you to achieve that goal through real estate. This is kind of a cool little diagram. All right. When I first saw this, it made me think of what you want to tell your clients when they want to cut your commission.
Mhm.
So the first thing you need to understand is how commission works. I know most do, you know, but for maybe some of the newer agents, it's not something that you've thought about exactly how that all gets cut up. So here's your dollar that you get. You know, when you look at the total commission between the buyer and the seller, right? 50%. Give me a second here. Show you guys over here. 50% will go to the buy side, right? Then once you do that, then you have to, and you get paid, you got to split it with a market center, right? And then after you do that, then you need to deal with your business and operating expenses. And this little corner, that's your take home. And then and with that, when it comes to finances, taxes are in that.
Right.
And especially as a newer agent, really pay attention to taxes. And if you don't have a good tax person, get a good referral of one. As you make more money, you have to really pay attention to it. In 2016, I did not, and I went into the next tax bracket, and my taxes were $30,000.
Wow.
And I did not have the 30,000. Luckily, some other things came about. But if I was diligent and listened to these programs and better with my finances, I would. And if I put money away, I would have had money for that. And so when I got that tax bill, I would have already been aware, and it wouldn't have been an issue. But I just wasn't paying attention. So just something to pay attention to. And if you don't, when you get that big tax bill, you understand.
Yeah. Real good.
All right. So now we're going to look at commission. We'll break it down for you guys. Now, I just want to see something. Do you guys have a page in the participation guide that shows average sales price, average commission?
Yes.
Okay.
It says get real about your goals. Yeah.
Totally. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Dennis.
Mhm.
So in there, if you know, put it what the average sales price in your market is. If you don't know, you should know. And when we're done with our class day, you should talk to your TL or someone in the office and find out kind of what the average sales price is. I know it's different. I mean, I'm from Santa Cruz, and in San Jose, it's the same thing. Just for this example, I used $1 million. Our actual average right now is 1.213 in our area. If I was in Los Gatos, it'd be like 1.7, 1.8.
Wow.
If I was in Saratoga, probably around 2. So, but understanding that, because that's going to help you when you're developing your goals, right?
Mhm.
So The average commission, I took 2.5%, so it's about 25,000. And then you'll want to figure out what your market centers, company dollars, what your cap is. And you're all with, I think you're all with KW. So it's 30,000. And then our franchise fee is 3,000. So I was listening to the TL from Roseville. You know what their cap is?
What?
24,000. Do you know what their average sales price is?
What?
550.
Oh,
550?
Yeah, 556. So it's going to take them a little longer to cap.
yeah.
So anyway, just thought I'd let you guys know that. I saw it, I'm like, what the hell? Gotta sell a lot of homes. All right, so then I'm hoping your guide has this. So net income, say your net income goal is 100,000, company
Yeah.
dollar cap 33,000. I don't think your business expenses are going to be this much, especially if you're a $100,000 producer. They'll be probably maybe a tenth of that.
Okay.
And we can help you with that to make sure that that stays low. That's one reason for being a KW. And that's one, is expenses being lower because of all the tools we have. And then, but what I like about this is you should know what your expenses are. You should know what your cap is. You should know what your net goal is, because you got to add those up, right? You got to factor those in if you want to net that 100,000. And as I said, the average GCI is 25,000. So I'd have to close around 8 transactions to make that money in San Jose.
Yeah.
I know Santa Cruz is a little different, so
Mhm.
I want to respect that. All right. Any questions?
Well, did you start your career in Santa Cruz?
I did. I've been my whole career. Anything I've ever sold has been in Santa Cruz or in Siskiyou County, where I had some property. I've sold one house in San Jose, and Renee knows this too, that we're not supposed to sell in the area, especially where we're the team leader. So any your San Jose referrals go to my agents.
Okay.
But I hear their stories and stuff, so I'm pretty aware of this market.
I think Santa Cruz, and Jordan, I'm sure you'll correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's about 800,000 is the average
In Santa
sales
Cruz?
price. Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. And I have to say this just because I have to say this. I know it's going to be covered later.
Say it.
but one of the things that happens is that if we focus on the net income, as you can see, 8 transactions. I mean, 8 transactions is nothing. It's nothing. And because we're in a very good market. So I want you to know what you need to do to reach your financial goals and then blow it out of the water, because you should be focusing on units, not dollars. If you want to increase your business or anything else, you have to be focusing in on units, not dollars. That's it, Rob. I'll shut up now.
No, Renee,
That's awesome.
You just made me think of something too. When we talked about small and big goals, if you look at volume in our market, you could limit yourself because you're like, okay, well, I only need to do, like I met a lady yesterday, she works in Saratoga, and I know she'll come here eventually. She sells like 2 to 3 houses and she's at 10 million. So, she's happy with that right now currently. But if I set myself up for that, I think you need to really listen to Renee, because what I was thinking about is that means your actions only generate 3 sales. So what do you do when you go into a recessionary market where the average sales price goes down? Yes, you die, because your actions only allow you to do 3 units. But if you have actions that create 10, 15 units, it makes you less susceptible in changing markets, because you have bigger actions that get you to where you need to go, right? And if you guys, depending on your stay with Keller Williams, if you ever go to Mega Camp, you'll meet people that do 100 as an individual with an admin
In a year?
in a year.
100 units.
100 units. So here was the thing. We're sitting there with 18.
5 assistant to run my business.
So it's, but the thing to remember too is it's a different market, because it's not a Santa Cruz market where you've got so many different kinds of home. You've got San Lorenzo Valley, you have Watsonville, you have, Aptos, you have all these different things that you have to deal with. They're more like cul-de-sac kind of flat landed places, right? But what blew our mind is we're sitting there and she goes, yeah, I did 100 units. And then this year I went to 120. So I had to hire an admin. We're all. So, but you know what I took away from that, and is what Renee just said, is we are so volume based. We're not unit based. So for her to do 100 transactions, no matter how much assistance, she has big actions that are getting her there, right? She could take that skill and come here and probably blow it out of the water because of the way she has created these actions to allow her to do that many units. So
let me ask you too, just one more question is if you were to ask, who do you feel has more experience? The one that has made $10 million doing 2 transactions, or the one that has made 100,000, or not even 100, made 250,000 by doing 20 transactions? Who do you think has more experience and is better able to handle what's going on?
The one with more transactions.
yeah, it's true. It's as a team leader, that's something that we look at is I look at units and volume. Just because someone does 10 million, but they do it in 2 to 3 units, there's a lot there. We really got to figure out what their passion is. They should be doing a lot more than 2 or 3 units. I mean, as our operating principal will say, what do you do the rest of your time? If you've only done 2 units. So just something to think about. All right. Let's go to our next slide here. So how many of you, and I know I've got some new people and some people are getting ready just to join, have done their goals in Command?
No.
Nope.
Okay. I'm going to do a quick preview of that. Just give me a second here. I had it up before. I'm going to make sure I follow the same steps they want me to follow. Okay. So you go into Command, the dashboard's what's going to come up first. You go down to reports on the left-hand side.
Are you sharing your screen? We can't.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Please tell me when I do stuff like that, because I am notorious for that. Thank you. Thank you, Dennis.
Yeah.
There we go. Can you see it now?
Yep.
Can you see the dashboard?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, call me out, please. So down to the left, reports. Go to goals.
Yeah.
And then click the goal setting. And then it's going to kind of take you through this little wizard here. Let's see here. Get started. Cool. So then you've got whatever the year is. And then you're going to pick whatever your profit goal is. Just very similar to the same chart we just used. Expenses, cost of sale, and then what you'd like your business to be made up of. I said 50-50. I mean, in a perfect world, you probably want it to be 70-30, 70% listings, 30% buyers. From what I've seen over the last 3.5 years, as a newer agent, you're probably gonna be more buyer heavy initially. So just, be aware of that. You might be 60-40 listings. So I mean, 60% buyers, 40% listings. And then at the bottom, you wanna put what your average commission is per unit. So that's why that exercise that we did before will help you figure that out as to what that looks like. And then it gives you this nice little graph here, and I'll go over here. And then you can go ahead and put in your conversion rates. I believe it defaults initially because some of you are newer, so you don't really have conversion rates. I'd probably stick with probably like 60%, not being judgmental, but just so that your numbers can be more accurate. And then as you have more track record, then you can actually see like, okay, when I get a listing lead, my percentage is this that I close in, right?
Mm.
Or, you know, I get a listing, I put it in I get it on the market. I have a high percentage of closing it. So these are things that over time, you'll be able to go ahead and modify. And then it just kind of gives you a breakdown. And then the next thing it does, let's see here, give me a sec, guys. What I like about it is then with that, it kind of gives you an idea of how many leads, like let's just look at my little example, how many leads that I need to have based on those percentages that I need to have to make that goal. Quite a few, right?
Yeah.
Appointments, agreements, closed units. So I can track all my business inside of Command. So I know exactly where I'm at each point in my business. You might get an anomaly where you get a listing that's $3.5 million or $4 million. It'll throw all this off, but hey, you got your goal faster. Any questions on the goal setting?
I do.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So today, for example, it's Friday and I'm going to meet with one client, but I'm going to show her about 9 to 10 homes. So is that one appointment or 9 to 10 appointments?
One appointment.
One appointment. Okay.
That's a lot of homes.
Question, Rob.
I want to get her by. And I know she would want to see it, like everything on the market. So
Perfect. Yeah, it's just one. So we're doing great on time. And one of the things is, so I'll give you guys about 5 minutes. If you can go into Command, you know, at least go to the reports, go to the goal setting, go to that little section and just put in some preliminary numbers for right now. So you have that. So and then let me know if there's any issues, like anything that doesn't make sense or you had any trouble with that.
Hey, Rob, I was wondering what goals did you have for yourself early on that you accomplished and how quickly?
Oh yeah, I appreciate that. So when I started in 2003, I worked for my parents. They brought me in the business. And so I didn't have the opportunity to work for such a great company as Keller Williams. And I did not have a mentor that taught me any of this. So for the first 4 or 5 years, it was like 100,000 was just my goal, but I didn't have any, how do I say this? That exercise that we did about 15 minutes past, I didn't ever do one of those. Like, you know, I'm gonna send my son to college. Well, when I started, he wasn't alive. I'm gonna buy my first house. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I didn't have any of that, so it took me a while. And guess what happened? Keller Williams invited me to this training, and I want to say it was like the 411 or something. It was similar to the name, but it was like a long time ago. And I went through the training, and that's when I started setting my goals.
Wow.
I wasn't ready to come to KW, and I didn't at that time, but because I was still independent and wasn't thinking big, you know, I was so. But yeah,
well,
that's why Dennis. That's why I love these.
And that same thing. What are some of your goals today, being as accomplished as you are?
So my goals right now are more about my market center. So my goals are like right now we're at 160 agents. So my goal for this year before COVID was 200 agents. So now my goal, I'm looking to do my commitment to the region is to net another 15 to 20.
Okay.
And, you know, which brings in, you know, without anybody even selling anything, an extra $2,000 to $3,000 a month in revenue. So my goals are, to answer your question, are set up on that because my bonuses and everything are based on that. I do set a goal for, you know, 3 to 4 transactions a year just for my referral database.
Okay.
But that's pretty much what it, you know, in my driving force, like I told you, son, college.
Right, exactly. So you can take care of you one day.
Yeah. And actually, because we have a company, so I'll let you know, honestly, the other thing too is profit share.
Okay.
I am, when I became a leader, it just really opened my eyes to what's possible with it. I mean, that's part of my job is to recruit people, but at the same time, it's to build wealth. And so, you know, right now I do about $5,000 to $6,000 a year. My first goal is to get to 30,000 because then it covers cap.
Right.
or 33,000,
Wow.
excuse me. And then the next goal is to cover his college.
Wow.
There was
Okay, I like
there was a team leader out of Sacramento that worked really hard at it, and his son's college was all paid from profit share.
Wow.
Yeah.
All
So,
right.
you know, and I love our company, so I have no problem wanting more and more people to be here. Because just the question that you asked me, it still burns in me. I wish in 2003 there was that I would have been here.
Okay.
So you're in the right
One-
spot, Dennis.
The
That
one
makes me
thing-
feel awesome.
The one thing too that Keller Williams does at the end of every year, and when I mean the end of every year, it's about November, October, November,
Mhm.
is we always offer a business planning clinic.
Mhm.
And I would strongly, strongly, strongly suggest that you attend, even though it's become very automated here. This will walk you through not only what your goals are, but what you need to do to achieve them. So, again, we offer that usually October, November of every year. And it's a great time to take time off and just figure out what you want to do for the next year.
Yeah. Thanks for mentioning that, Renee. I think I've got it scheduled, but I'll double check. And then I'll let Elaine and Laura know. But yeah, to answer your question, Dennis, it's just that's a full day of goal setting.
Yeah.
You know, it's deep, and the teachers that we get are phenomenal. You know,
I did something on command that, as you showed us, I don't know how accurate is that, but Renee can charge me because I coach with her, and like I can see after I get like second and third and fourth transactions, I guess. But thank you very much what you are doing right now, because that is what I asked, like have a hands-on command class like right at the moment, because videos are, you know, like not always accurate what I have on my command screen. Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah, I'm fully engaged in command. I mean, I totally support it. I spend, you know, I spend a lot of time in there because I want to understand it for you guys. Like my next goal, to be transparent, is to get the checklist in. So my VA is looking at it right now, and she's going to get them in for me, so that way I can preach what I'm doing. You know, so when I have an opportunity and I lead it through there, I've got a checklist for each one of those things I'm supposed to do with that person. I have it in an Excel spreadsheet, but having it into command is just going to be super powerful.
That's my comfort zone, like out of my comfort zone.
You're not allowed.
Keller Williams talk about that. Gary Keller talks about that in the book.
Yep. It's, you know, what I enjoy, the more I'm in there and I see the results of what it can do, the easier it is for me to use it, you know. All right, guys, any questions on the goal setting tool? Nope. Cool. Now I'm gonna get myself back to my PowerPoint. But I will confirm, you guys see the PowerPoint, correct? Okay. Let's put this away. All right, so we finished that. Okay. Got to talk about the 80-20 rule. It's so funny. I'm just reading the slide. Apologize, guys. All right, the 80-20 rule. So 20% of your efforts, 80% of your results. I'll go ahead and read their little blurb on this. In the 1940s, quality control manager Dr. Joseph M. Rand documented a life-changing universal principle that he called the vital few and trivial many. The idea was that a relatively small percentage of your efforts lead to the vast majority of your results. He attributed some of his findings to the statistical work of the Italian economist Alfredo Pareto, who had observed that 80% of the wealth in this country was owned by 20% of the population. As fate would have it, that broadly embraced principle came to be known as, not as Warren's law, but as Pareto's principle. These days, we simply call it the 80-20 principle. The idea that 20% of your actions lead to 80% of your results may be one of the most powerful principles you can apply to your life. It's about getting the most from your time and effort. It's about maximizing your results. It's about having focus. Any thoughts on that? Anything resonate with you on that?
It's something that resonates with me, especially, you know, outside of, you know, real estate, but I've been recently doing chalk art, and today I'll be downtown on Pacific Avenue doing chalk art. If anyone's interested, go check it out. But I started doing that in the neighborhood just as a hobby, and then it, you know, caught on, and now, you know, I'm doing it for the museum and, you know, for First Friday. So, and that was only 20% of my time, but it's getting me, you know, enough exposure, I would say.
That's great, Dennis.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Super cool. We've got talent in the room outside of real estate. Thank you for giving us that. I love that. Here's a good question, and I like where it goes this. Does anyone know what we mean by big rocks?
Yes.
Go ahead, Dennis, hit me.
So imagine you had a jar, a mason jar, and the big rocks are your main goals, your big goals, and you want to fill it up, fill the jar with those big goals initially, and then fill up the tiny space with your secondary goals, your tertiary goals, and until the entire jar is full. So that's the big rocks.
Perfect. I won't have to read the next part. But it's funny because I just did a speech about an hour ago on time management, and it's funny when you read that. Like, if you fill your day with all these small tasks, that your day fills up, and then you don't have time for those big rocks. You know, but if you eat the frog, or whatever the saying is that resonates with you, and you do it first thing in the morning, you fill it up there first, then all the other stuff can happen and you just feel so much better. So, but perfect. Thanks, Dennis.
Wow.
All right. This is a good one. And the first time I heard it, it didn't really resonate with me, but it's resonating now. Dennis has been my main man. So can someone else, just to give Dennis a little break, even though I love you, Dennis, could read this quote for me?
I'll do it.
Cool.
What is the one thing you can do right now that would make everything else easier or unnecessary?
So Colleen, when you read that, what does that say to you? What comes to you from that?
I think just having the right priorities. Yeah.
That's perfect. It really, you hit the nail on the head. It's really understanding at this moment, what is the one thing that you could do that nothing else matters? It's that big rock, right? And when you have clarity on that, that's what you need to go for. And when we lose track of that, that's when we do all those little gravel things and we're not doing the big rock things. Perfect. You guys are awesome. Okay, cool. So it brings it up again, just to reiterate, the 80-20 principle. 20% of your time, majority of your time should be growing your business, really should be. These other things that run the business should be totally secondary. These should be like your gravel in your jar, and then what I hope for you, and I would, my goal would be for you is that over time, some of these running your businesses, you can leverage, right? Transaction management to close, Glenda. For us, it's Lindsay. Vendor management, some of the TCs do that. Goals, that's your thing. Compliance and risk management, that's just understanding the contracts. The more you do, the more efficient you become with that. Attending, training, coaching, that's just an ongoing thing. but you got to do these other things first. And I know Renee's probably heard this before. We've seen agents that do a lot of training and coaching, but guess what they forget to do? Lead generation. You can take all the classes you want, but it's all about what you're doing. So. All right. Going to here. All right, have you guys seen this before? The 411, is it coming up?
Yeah, the 411.
I better hear that from two people.
I do know that. Yoo-hoo!
We love the 411.
I do.
I was
Okay,
hoping
I'm
to
happy.
say something. All right. Let's see.
Rob, are you getting your
I was
411?
just looking for it, yeah.
I knew it. Give us your 411.
That's so bad. I have my GPS. I wonder what happened to it. May have to come back to it on a break. That's really odd, because usually it's in my goal setting book. Unless my son messed with something, which is possible. All right. I can't find it right this moment, but it helps me. So I actually have a high performance planning manual, and so all of it's in there actually written out. You know, like what Dennis asked me, like, what are mine? So like annual goals for me, or would be that bigger one for you guys, right? It's that, you know, that monetary goal, maybe. You know, I'm gonna make $100,000, I'm make $150,000. Then the next section, right? Your monthly goals. What actions do I need to take to get to those annual goals? Then from there, you got to break it down to weekly, right? And if you really get this down, then it's daily, right? It's what are those daily actions I'm going to take every day to get that goal? So for me, for 100,000, I'm going to close so many transactions per month. And then weekly, I'm going to get so many appointments per week. I'm going to do that much lead generation until I get those appointments, because I know for me to get my goal, I need to do all those things. So for me, like if I want to recruit more agents, you know, I have numbers that I measured every month of how many agents I bring in, how many agents I lose, how many appointments I go on. So I know probably like every other day exactly where I am compared to my goals. And what I find is the better I do with that, the easier it is for me to get there. And then when I see a deviation, then I need to know what do I need. Then I have to look and go, what do I need to do to get there? So one of the activities for this one is those rocks that you had, I mean, those rectangular things, is to pick one of those for an annual goal, then break it down into a monthly goal. What would it take to get that annual goal? And then go into the weekly section. What activities do I need to do per week to get that monthly goal? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna just give you guys a couple minutes. Go ahead and do that, because that's one of the exercises for the class. And that time I'm looking for my 411. Oh, that's why. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. I know we're almost out of time. I apologize for that. Thought we had a lot more time. Any questions on the 411?
Nope. And isn't it if you don't obtain your goal for that month, you add it to the next month?
That's what I do.
Yeah.
It can be a little scary sometimes.
Yeah.
Because it could be a pretty big number. But like so for me, I'm supposed to average between 7 to 8 agents a month, right? So if I only bring in 4 one month, then yes, I would add another 4 to the next month, so I'd have to bring in 12.
Yeah, and it's scary, but it can help you see like your goal compared to what you actually did, and then maybe for the next time, you know, like adjust and stuff like that.
I'm completely saying that's exactly what I was thinking in my mind, and or the pain that incurs when you're like, crap, now I got to bring in 12 people in 1 month. It makes me even think bigger long term, that I need to make sure that doesn't happen again, because the pain of that is like, I just, you know, you don't want to feel it again. So you're like, okay, so let's make that not happen again. But it happens, right? We're in this thing called life, so.
Yeah, and then they said like some of the other bigger agents, they were like, I set this really unrealistic goal and I thought it would never happen, but then I actually beat that. And so that's what they also say sometimes.
And what I find, and the when I look at the difference between me and them when I was setting my big goals, is I didn't plan big actions. You know, I didn't take big actions. And my agents that I see that accelerate very fast, especially newer ones, they just take big actions, or just very consistent, systematic actions. And an agent in 18 months do 400,000 in GCI, and all he did was open houses. But can I tell you something? Every weekend for that 18 months, he was at the open houses. He was doing the open houses. He prepared a week before each open house, so he knew the neighborhoods. He knew the homes that were around there. He knew the average sales price, and he just crushed it. You know, but now, because of what's going on, he has to pivot. So it's been a tough adjustment for him, but he's gotten back. He's got another way he's going to do it. But my purpose in mentioning that was that, you know, he just went after it, you know, and just was consistent and systematic and just got it done. And I remember weekends where I had agents listing agents looking for agents to do open houses, and we would call people and like, no, I'm busy this weekend. Their why wasn't big enough, you know. We had 1 weekend where we had 10 open houses, and I have 160 agents, and we were just scattering trying to find someone to do the open houses. So, and this was in a good market. This was 2 years ago. So
You can always go to Santa Cruz.
Always.
I always do open houses, and I come with my fresh baked muffins.
All right, I got to respect your guys' time, and I am so sorry. Oh, I think I made it to the end. I did. Perfect. I forgot a bunch of slides for the other ones. Real quickly, just to wrap it up, because we only have about 60 seconds or more. Any questions on anything that we went through today?
No.
No,
I was listening in the background, and you guys were having a great conversation.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, you guys, I think, you know, just doing the activities while we're doing this is very helpful, because now your subconscious can now connect some of this stuff, and you've done it, and it'll help you in the future. I am not your team leader, but if there's anything I can ever do to help you, always feel free to reach out to me. And as I said before, if you email me and give me your home address, I will send you the one thing on my dime. Cool.
Cool. Thank you so much for your time, Rob.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Have a great week.
Bye, everybody. Have a nice weekend.